Ooh, this is my new driver's seat. Yeah. When can I open it? So, as you can see, I have received some new parts. I have received the original driver's seat. So the decision is done. The cage has to go and the bucket seat has to go too, and I will go with a more OEM-like interior. Also, I have received a used Fujitsubo Legalis R exhaust that I'm gonna install eventually. But not in this video. This video I want to do more rust repairs. Last weekend I was working a lot on the trunk area around the bootlid. This weekend I want to complete that area. Still up to do are mainly two places. One is on the bottom right part of the rear window, where the window seal is. And second, at the area where the bootlid latches onto the body, like the bracket that on the body side holds this little latch, is very rusty as well, so I need to partially refabricate that. And yeah, then basically the first part of the 86 restoration is completed. And here we have the auto radius. you can see the problem is still the same. Even though I shortened this, now that I'm hammering this one inside, this part starts to fold up. You can see that the bend moves this direction. This is such a annoying part to make. How do I stretch the metal? So guys, some progress. The water channel is now almost complete. Here I need to file a little bit off. And next up I'm gonna make this very ugly round shape of this thing. So I'm first gonna bend over these little flaps, then trim here the cuts, weld them together to make them one piece, and finally cut the outer area so that there's a nice pretty circle. Super difficult, this part. So this looks really neat. Due to the welding it's a little bit, changed its shape, but overall I think it looks pretty good. Let's grind off the weld seams and then finalize it. So now we are going to transfer this tape, this stencil onto the metal and then cut it out. Looks good, time to cut it out. Oh, by the way, this is the mounting bracket I mentioned previously. The bracket that goes, that the bootlid latches into. And as you can see, the upper part is a bit rusty. And what I think is pretty cool, like this latch of course needs to be a bit adjustable. So when you open these two screws, you can move this latch like a bit up, down, left and right. And the way it works is that the nuts on the bottom side are welded onto this sheet metal, and then the sheet metal is connected via this very thin metal arms to the bracket. So that way you can move these two nuts together, which I think is pretty genius. Looks like a fun solution. Nice concept to you then. Okay, but this comes later. First this part. And here. Da, 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 da. Now this part fits pretty nicely already, but still left to do is to replicate this, the second bend up here. That's gonna be a bit of a pain because the original part, as you can see, there is not much left. Well, we can still roughly guess where the original bend was. So that looks pretty good, I think. This side fits nicely. Over here it fits nicely. The final adjustments I have to do is to close this gap here for the weld spot. This metal still needs to come down a bit. Yeah, a bit of filing and I think it will be done. This looks lovely. To be able to install the rear window, I first have to grind down the weld beams properly. This is necessary so that the rubber seal for the rear window glass is sealing tightly. From factory, this part is additionally sealed with soldering. I don't have any soldering experience, so I'll just leave it like that. So with that corner of the rear window frame now finally replaced, the trunk area is now almost like 95% complete. The last thing I have to do is to fix this bracket. At least we can now see the whole scale of disaster. And I do believe the upper 2-3 centimeters here have to go. That looks super shitty. Okay, now I made this one and this piece. I can now weld them together, and then I'm gonna cut off the excess and flatten the upper end so that I can weld it into the body again. So I have now welded this upper part together. Looks okay. Now I'm gonna cut off these little ears. So I hope you can see that I welded both sides of the spring. Now I'm gonna clean it up, remove these weld spots, and then do the last final spot weld in the center, fix that back to the bracket, and then this part is basically ready to be installed back into the car. The last spot weld is now on, and with that this part is now completely repaired. Before I can weld the supporting bracket back into the car, I have to first repair two small areas to the left and to the right of the inside rear panel. This area has also been very rusty.
The upper side of the rear window frame where it meets the roof panel is also quite rusty. Initially, I just wanted to stop the rust using overtroll oil, but looking more closely, I felt that the rust has progressed too far already. The pitting is quite deep, so I decided to sand it off and put 3 layers of POR15 on it. I tried to remove as little white paint as possible, because I don't want to respray the car, at least not at the moment. As mentioned before, I don't plan to do a complete and perfect restoration. Over here you can also see how badly the car has been resprayed in the past. They didn't even bother to remove the rear glass or the rubber seal, and this thin dark line indicates where the factory paint is separated from the respray, and this to me really is very disappointing, and it looks like a really sloppy job. Right now I'm applying Sikaflex seam sealer the same way as it was applied from factory. This should prevent any water from entering the trunk area and seep in between the metal sheets. With the metalwork done in the trunk area, we have achieved the first milestone. The rear 25% of the car are now repaired. No more water seeping into it. Everything is nice and stable again. That means I can put the boot lid back on. I can put the rear glass back in. I can put the taillights back on. And as a memory, I kept like a box full of metal parts that I've cut out. Let me show you an example. Yeah. Some of the rear panel metal. I'll keep that as a memory. And yeah, that means we can now proceed with the next part, because next up I want to look at the front radiator support, sometimes also called the front cross member. It's the part at the front of the car where the radiator is mounted on top. And on my car this part has also many rust holes. It's gonna be also a very difficult repair. And how I'm gonna do that, you can find out in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye.